do you think happened with the hurricanes?
I think there was an upcoming storm, and then I think government set in with whatever it is that they do. I don't know all the specifics about it. I'm not an expert in cloud seeding or whatever it is that they use to magnify the storm to a higher degree.
So they made the storm stronger, so it would hit the.
Doing with this one.
You think that Milton, they're making it stronger?
From a 2 to immediately to a 5, like instantaneously.
What's up, everybody? Major Retired Richard Ojeda here, and let's get one thing straight right out of the gate. We are living in the twilight zone. We've got a large segment of this country, these MAGA diehards, who are so far down the rabbit hole, they're coming up with conspiracy theories so absurd, so detached from reality, it's like they're performing a bad satire of themselves.
You're implying that the government made a hurricane stronger to hurt its own country, the United States of America?
Correct.
And what would be the gain of that?
If they have an Alexa, I don't know if you've heard that, and they've asked what caused Milton.
Okay.
You can go on there now. It's already predicted the number of deaths and the amount of it's already predicted it. You on a Google, it won't do that. If you ask it about Helene, it'll tell you the government actively used seed clouding. This is before Helene even happened.
Yeah, you heard that right. A weather machine, because apparently the government has nothing better to do than sit around like a cartoon villain pushing buttons to control hurricanes and ruin Trump's chances in 2024. But oh, it gets better.
Why would a country want to have a hurricane be strong and hit its own country?
Because they want to control certain places. And if you're looking at where the hurricane's going, it's a lot of red states. If you're looking at the counties in North Carolina that were hit, there were all of them, 26 out of 28 of those counties were for Trump. They're doing whatever they can because they can't rig the election.
Even control the weather?
Yes.
This is the level of intellect we're dealing with here. Folks, let me tell you, people who think hurricanes are some sort of tactical strike against red states, people who think climate change is a hoax but government-controlled hurricanes, yeah, that's believable. I mean, seriously, we've got folks out here who can't believe in science, who reject the overwhelming evidence of human-made climate change, but they're convinced that Biden's sitting in the Oval Office summoning hurricanes like he's Poseidon himself. You can't write this stuff. You couldn't make it up even if you tried. This woman says that if you ask Alexa about Hurricane Milton, Alexa will tell you the government's plan. That's right. Our national security secrets are apparently spilling out of an Amazon digital assistant. According to her, if you ask Alexa about hurricanes, she'll reveal that the government used seed clouding to strengthen them. Alexa, the glorified Bluetooth speaker, is now a government informant on weather manipulation. Yeah, and let's talk about where this is all coming from. Because this madness isn't popping up in a vacuum. It's being fed by people like Marge the Trainwreck Green, who toss out these insane conspiracy theories like they're candy on Halloween. She's out here dropping lines like they, the ever mysterious they, who control everything and are coming to take away your freedoms, or in this case, flood your MAGA lawn. And the right-wing media, yeah, they're eating it up, amplifying it like it's absolute gospel truth.
Republican Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene, who is now like a big mover and shaker in the Republican Party, is promoting a bizarre conspiracy theory about a mysterious they, you can imagine who that is, controlling the weather, suggesting that they are sending hurricanes to Republican areas to impact the election. Like someone is sitting at some computer somewhere pressing hurricane. And it's not just her. She's now being amplified by right-wing media and the Republican nominee himself.
Has the government figured out how to build a storm into a superstorm that will destroy everything in its path, and then how to aim it right for where they want to aim it? It just happens to miss South Florida, where all the Democrats live. Something strange is going on.
This is the same media that for years has told us that climate change is just a liberal scare tactic. They've poisoned the well, mocked every legitimate scientist and study, rejected mountains of evidence, all because of its inconvenience for the fossil fuel donors. But now, suddenly, when it comes to whipping up fear and feeding their conspiracy-loving base, now suddenly they believe humans can control the weather.
These are Trump counties. And don't tell me for a second that what we're not seeing is a massive government-pushed voter suppression operation.
You know, it's largely a Republican area, so some people say they did it for that reason. I don't even think they're that bad, but maybe they are.
They're sending the storms. They are sending the storms.
Now it's hurricane machines targeting Trump voters in the Carolinas. It's sickening, but it's also pathetic. But let's peel back the curtain and see what's really going on here. While these people are busy panicking over imaginary weather control devices, Trump's Project 2025 is out there with actual real-world consequences, dismantling every system we have in place to protect ourselves from natural disasters. They're not worried about government manipulation of the weather. They're worried about cutting FEMA, gutting the National Weather Service, slashing disaster relief. They're not trying to secretly control the weather. They're just openly taking away any federal aid that would actually help people in the path of a real storm. So let that sink in. These MAGA folks are in a frenzy over a fantasy hurricane button, while the very person they worship is out here stripping away disaster protections. Project 2025 is a sledgehammer, and it's aimed directly at the agencies we rely on when hurricanes hit. But all these people want to talk about is how Biden's supposedly using hurricanes to play politics. The hypocrisy is staggering. The stupidity is also staggering. So here's a question. If you're really that worried about hurricanes, maybe start asking why the guy you're cheering for is ripping away the funding that would actually protect you. Why he wants to gut FEMA, the very agency that shows up when hurricanes turn your neighborhood into a water park. But no, instead, these people are looking at Joe Biden like he's the god of the sea, sitting in the White House with his hand on a big hurricane level. Meanwhile, Trump's plan is to leave us all stranded the next time a real storm comes knocking. It's a circus act, folks. A ridiculous, pathetic circus act. And what's worse, this garbage is dangerous. It's keeping people distracted, keeping them dumb, keeping them angry at shadows instead of fighting the real battles. Because that's the play, isn't it? Convince the masses to fear invisible enemies while the real threats, things like gutting FEMA and the National Weather Service, roll through Congress without a single MAGA head turned. So here we are. In 2024, a big chunk of this country genuinely believes in a government-controlled hurricane machine. They're out here treating hurricanes like they're political heat-seeking missiles. And they're so busy hating the imaginary hurricane button that they're missing the real disaster, the one being set in motion by their own side. So let me spell it out. There is no hurricane machine. There is no Joe Biden with the Poseidon powers. There's no secret bunker where they are pressing buttons to conjure up storms in red states. But there is Project 2025, and there is a very real, very blatant dismantling of disaster relief happening right under our noses. And if you think a hurricane is bad, wait until you see what it looks like when FEMA doesn't show up, because these maniacs have stripped it to the bone. So wake up, people. Stop letting them turn you into clowns who believe in fairy tales. Start paying attention to the real storm, the one that's coming for all of us, and not just because of some imaginary weather machine. It's coming because the folks in power are selling out our safety for their political gains. And if you're cheering that on because you're too busy screaming about hurricanes and conspiracies, then maybe, just maybe, you're the real disaster waiting to happen. Wake up, folks, before it is too late. And that is an absolute fact. Sappers clear the way, airborne all the way.